Megamind is famous for being a comedy, but it's actually a horror story about what happens when you finally kill the only person who gave your life meaning. Most movies end with the hero winning. This one starts with a villain realizing his victory was actually a suicide note for his identity. At first glance, Megamind looks like a parody. It's colorful, it's loud, and the villain has a flair for dramatic. But if you look past the presentation, this isn't a story about good versus evil. It's a story about purpose, partism. Megamind didn't choose to be a villain. He was assigned the role. Watch how the system rewards Metro Man for simply existing while punishing Megamind for trying to participate.
Was destined for? A dream life filled with luxury? Apparently not. Even fate picks its favorites. No big deal. A much
Baby! How thoughtful.
Oh, yes, I saw it and thought of you.
Luckily, I found a lovely little place to call home.
Can we keep it?
Look at the classroom. Metro Man didn't earn being the hero. He was born with the face of one. Megamind was just the kid who didn't fit the mold. So the world decided he was the antagonist before he even learned how to speak. He didn't lean into villainy because he was evil. He did it because it was the only way people would actually look at him. If the world won't love you for being good, you make them notice for being bad. It's not evil. It's a survival mechanism for a soul that's starving for attention. And that's why the rivalry with Metro Man is so dark. Metro Man wasn't his enemy, he was his anchor. He was the only thing that made Megamind's existence make sense. The moment the victory happens, Megamind expression shifts from triumph to a terrifying sense of isolation.
You did it, sir.
I did it? He did it. I did it.
So when Megamind finally wins, it's not a victory, it's an identity collapse. He didn't just kill the hero, he killed the only mirror he had to see himself in. The silence that followed it isn't peace, it's a sound that a man is realizing without a hero to fight, he doesn't actually exist. He won the city, but he lost the only relationship that he ever had. Megamind didn't want to conquer Metro City, he just wanted someone to play with. See how he wanders empty halls of the city, realizing that a kingdom with no opposition and just a present.
Roxanne Ritchie! That always seems to lift your spirits.
Good idea, Minion. But without him, what's the point?
Him, sir?
Nothing.
He's not a conqueror sitting on a throne. He's a lonely kid in a costume, sitting in an empty room, realizing he just broke his only toy. But here's where it gets even deeper, because instead of changing, Megamind tries to manufacture a new destiny. In part 2, we see the real problem, because you can't build a hero if you don't understand what makes one. Instead of changing, Megamind tries to recreate the same toxic cycle all over again. He wasn't looking for a hero, he was looking for a way to stay stuck. After finally defeating Metro Man, Megamind finds himself in a position he never prepared for: peace. But for someone whose entire nervous system was wired for conflict, peace feels like a death sentence. He doesn't know how to exist without a shadow to stand in. He didn't want freedom, he wanted familiar chains. Instead of evolving, he decides to play God. He manufactures a hero because he's desperate to go back into a world where his role was clearly defined. Observe the maniac desperation in Megamind's eyes as he talks to the new superhero he just created.
What?
Wow, you look fantastic.
But this is where the tragedy shifts. Megamind's biggest mistake wasn't creating a hero, it was assuming that heroism is just a set of powers. He chose how. A man who felt the world owed him everything, and he handed him keys to the kingdom. He created a monster while trying to find a friend. The core difference between most people miss: Megamind was a villain because the world rejected him. Titan became a villain because the world empowered him. Watch how Titan immediately uses his new strength to intimidate and take. Power doesn't change you, it just reveals who you are.
You're probably right. I should just rescue you a few times before we get all romantic. Whoops! Saved ya! You are lucky to have such a great hero here. Oh no! Somebody do something!
mirror he didn't expect. He sees that compared to the raw time and driven malice of Titan, his own villainy was just a performance. It was just a cry for help disguised as a heist. He had to see a real monster to realize he was just a lost kid. For the first time in his life, being a villain isn't an option, it's a liability. He has to kill the mask he spent 30 years building, because if he doesn't, the world won't just reject him, it will burn around him. But that's where the shift happens, because Megamind doesn't just fight Titan, he has to confront the fact that he's the only one who gave the monster his teeth. In part 3, that's where we see the moment the villain finally dies so the man can live. Megamind acts like he's in control. The speeches, the capes, the elaborate entrances, it all looks like confidence, but the truth is much darker. Megamind didn't have a personality, he had a script. For most of his life, Megamind treated morality like a stage play. He wasn't evil, he was just committed to the bit. He thought that as long as he hit his marks and Metro Man showed up on time, the world will keep spinning. But Titan isn't an actor, he's a glitch in the Matrix. Megamind spent his life treating good versus evil like a scheduled routine. The hero shows up, villain causes chaos, everyone goes home safe. Titan doesn't want a rivalry, he wants a body count. Watch Titan as he rejects the rules of the game, turning a theoretical rivalry into a terrifying, unscripted, hostage situation.
Us, we're like an old married couple.
Look, there is no us, okay? There will never be an us.
But I have powers. I have a cape. I'm the good guy.
You are a good guy, Hal, but you don't understand. We need to find out why. Hal,
This
just take a
isn't
deep
right.
breath and listen
You're
to me for a
supposed to
moment.
be with me.
I'm trying to warn you, Hal.
It's Titan. It's Titan, not Hal.
This is the moment Megamind world truly collapsed. His jokes aren't funny anymore. His gadgets feel like a toy in a war zone, because the first time he isn't looking at a rival, he's looking at a raw, ugly consequences of his own ego. He realized villainy was just a costume for a lonely kid. He see Titan using his power for himself, and it just looked like a cold splash of water. He realizes that he was the one busy performing the role of a bad guy. He was actually just a man desperately trying to belong in a world that didn't have a seat for him. Notice the shift in Megamind's eyes as he witnessed Titan's entitlement, realizing that real evil doesn't need a cape, it just needs a lack of empathy. All this stuff, it doesn't belong to me.
You stole it!
Pretty cool, right?
No.
But here's the pivot. Titan gets power and chooses himself. Megamind loses his identity and finally chooses everyone else. He doesn't step up because he wants to be the new Metro Man. He steps up because he's tired of living a lie. He didn't find a hero, he found himself. This isn't a grand hero entrance. It's a man walking towards his own potential, and because he finally cares about something more than the applause. He's not pretending anymore.
I've never felt so alive. So I borrowed a prop from a nearby nursing school. Metro Man was finally dead. And Music Man was born.
Music?
He's not waiting for a bull or a chair. He's finally acting as the person the world never gave him a chance to be. Real message of Megamind doesn't fully hit until the final frame, because this isn't just about villains becoming a hero. It's about what happens when you finally stop asking for permission to exit. And in part 4, we finally see the truth about the ending. By the end of Megamind, the city finally sees him differently. But that's not the victory. Megamind already won once. He took the city, beat the hero, and it felt hollow. The ending is powerful because for the first time ever, winning actually cost him something. Megamind's entire life was built on a binary: hero or villain, gifted or rejected. But the Metro Man revealed proves that even the perfect hero was just another prisoner in a cave. Observe the relief in Metro Man's voice as he admits to faking his death, revealing that his perfection was a cage he had to die to escape. This is the hidden tragedy of the movie. Metro Man was loved a role he didn't want, and Megamind was hated for a role he never chose. They both were trapped in a story written by the people who didn't actually know them. The difference is Megamind had to lose his role to find his soul. This is why Titan is the ultimate warning. Titan showed us when you give power to someone who has never had a purpose, he doesn't become evil because the world rejects him. He becomes evil because the power gave him permission to be exactly what he already was, entitled. Watch as Titan looms over the city, proving proving that real villainy isn't about dramatic speeches. It's about casual destruction of anything you don't own. When Megamind steps up to him, he isn't pretending to be the new Metro Man. He's not looking for a statue or a parade. He's acting as a man who finally realizes that labels the world gave him were just a distraction from the person he actually is. He stopped fighting for a title and started fighting for a reality. He's not a hero. He's just the only person left who's willing to take responsibility for a world that never gave him a seat at the table. He didn't need to defeat his rival. He needed to outgrow him. The real message of Megamind isn't that villains can become heroes. It's a warning about stories we tell children before they're even old enough to choose. If you tell someone who they are for long enough, they spend their entire life trying to survive that definition. Freedom is what you do with it, what's been done to you.